Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're your source for weekly Drunken Magic the Gathering arena content.
Yeah, basically we're just regular dudes drinking irregular beers and talking about Magic the Gathering, and in particular, the online client Magic the Gathering Arena.
That is right, and we are talking all about Standard 2022 this week, so buckle up, I guess.
Yeah. It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, exactly. But first, each week we both bring a beer, we drink our own, then drink each other's, rate them on a scale of bronze to mythic, and choose the best for last. So with that, Jeff, what's on tap?
Yeah, I brought one this week that's kind of unbelievable we haven't done yet, because it's kind of just a staple around Toronto. And that's Jitsu, which is Bellwood's brewery, local brewery around here, and it's just kind of their flagship pale ale. So it's 5.6%, comes in a nice tall boy with a kind of geometric pattern on it.
Yeah, it's great. So I want to see how it measures up to this one that I brought, which is Zane lost his avocado bag.
Well, that's wacky.
Yeah, this is from Refined Fool. It's a 7.6% brute IPA. And it has a pink background with a bunch of like avocado halves kind of around it. Very zany, I would say.
Yeah. There must be some avocado in it or something.
Maybe. Maybe I should read the back. No.
Oh, it'd be odd if there's such an avocado theme, but for no reason.
I feel like it's just kind of a joke about the people that would have avocado bags. I'm not exactly sure, but it's about it's like a champagne-like IPA. That's why it's a brute IPA. So it's supposed to be bubbly and delightful. So
there you go.
And I guess Zane is somebody who would lose his avocado bag and also drink champagne kind styles of beer. I don't know.
I mean, that's fucking classic Zane.
Zane, you lost your bag again, Zane. Come on.
Come on.
Magic news. All right. So we have some news because we missed last week. Sorry about that. That was my bad. I had some things going on, but this week we get to talk about the things that didn't happen. There was supposed to be a huge patch. We talked all about it. Jumpstart Historic Horizons was coming, and it has now been pushed to August 24th and 26th, respectively, of the patch and then Horizons. So kind of a bummer. Was hoping we could talk about that, but hey, life goes on, I guess.
Yeah, I'd rather they don't rush it and they make it, actually a good update and do everything they'd hoped to do rather than try to rush it out the door and have it be a little
disastrous,
subpar.
Yeah.
As, I don't want to, point any fingers, but it may have happened a few times in the past.
Mm-hmm. So, hopefully, everything will be working fine, or at least as close as it can be. However, so there's a weird thing with like the resetting of seasons, and we're gonna have like 2 seasons in August and all that stuff. So anyway, scratch that. That's not happening anymore. We're just doing the August season is gonna be cut a little short. September's gonna be a little bit longer. However, we get double rewards. It's doubling season. So the best time to get Mythic, I guess, because you get a lot. You get 10 packs instead of 5. So that's awesome.
And I feel like there was a weird qualifier thing where, like, if you came in the top 500 in the first week of August, like, if you ended their original season structure in the top 500, they'll qualify you for the top 1,200 thing.
Yes.
At the end of the month anyways.
Yeah.
Although I feel like that's mostly going to be the same people.
Yeah,
that got
exactly.
off to an early start and took the top spots are still going to be holding them by the end. But
So yeah, there was some stuff with if you're qualified for the qualifier, but
that was not me because I didn't play anywhere near enough to get anywhere close to that.
But they are apologizing by giving us some old draft formats to play, which is awesome. So we just had Amonkhet Remastered, Kaladesh Remastered just started, and then we'll have Ikoria again at some point next week. But the best thing about it is that your first draft is for free.
In each format, too.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. When I first read it, I was like, oh, so I get to pick which one I want? No, you get all 3.
Mm-hmm.
You do have like a 1-week window, so we're already kind of late on telling you about this. But
yeah, so hopefully by the time you've heard this, you can go on and play Kaladesh. And then maybe if you hear it a little bit later, it'll just be Ikoria. But it's still pretty nice. So be looking for that because it's not extreme. They don't advertise it extremely well on Arena when you're there. So you'll have to go and try to see. But yeah, I think that's a nice apology. I accept it. I'm taking it.
I thought it was cool, even though I didn't have a chance to do an Amonkhet remastered draft myself.
That's fine. I did, and I did poorly. So it didn't really matter.
You could have just told me you didn't know you didn't do it.
Oh, but you know me. I'm gonna tell you. I went 2 and 3 with a Golgari deck. Stupid green black. Sucks.
Yeah. You're not supposed to draft that color pick.
I know, but it's always open.
And I don't just mean in that format. I mean, lately it's always bad. So.
Yeah. Anyway, something huge happened. We had the Challenger Gauntlet.
Yes.
Who won that one?
So it wasn't a structure where you win the tournament, so to say. It's kind of set up so that once you qualify for Worlds, you're out, and then other people get to have an adder to see who else gets to qualify for Worlds and stuff. So, but in essence, you can essentially say that 4 people won it because they all earned a spot in the World Championship and in the Magic Pro League next season. So, congratulations to Sam Pardee, Noriyuki Mori, Arne Hushimbet, and Kaisuke Sato, who will all be playing at Worlds.
Woohoo! And yeah, that's what I meant. Those are the 4 winners. It's just
Yeah, I just felt like explaining it for those who people didn't know, because I actually watched a little bit of it, and I didn't really know that's how it worked, because they said top 4. I thought they would do a regular tournament, and then the top 4 go to Worlds. Mm-hmm. So when I was watching it, I was like, oh, Sam Party's just done now? Okay, cool. Like, so there's no winner? That's kind of a bummer. But, Sam crushed that tournament.
Yeah.
Basically from start to finish. And Noriyuki Mori brought some sweet decks. He brought Is It Control in Standard.
Ooh.
Or Prismari Control, if you prefer. It's
Either
just
one.
like Bone Crusher Giants and some Brazen Borrowers, and his win condition is Kiora Best the Sea God, and he's just playing straight up, legit, just blue-red.
Just sounds like some good cards right there.
He believes in expressive iteration.
We also found out that the MPL and Rivals Gauntlets are going to be 15 rounds of Standard. The current Standard.
What?
Not 2022 Standard, just current regular Standard. No historic.
Oof.
They are going to be after, Horizons comes out, so it could have been really cool to have a format that had like 800 new cards about, but I know it's going to be the same.
That's intense. It reminds me of the old, of GPs, when it was just one format for, 18 rounds.
Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't seem like anyone's all that happy about it, but you got to do what you got to do, I guess, and play through them.
I don't mind Standard where it's at right now. It has a few different options. I think people are just sick of the same cards.
Yeah.
Adventures is good, and it's been good for a very long time.
Exactly.
But the format itself is, you can play aggro, you can play control decks, you can play middle of the road decks.
Yeah.
It's just you only have so many options within each of those. But.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think that the actual current Standard is a dud or horrible. There are people that feel that way, but it has just been many, many, many tournaments that feel very similar. So
it's oh, look at that. Gruel Adventures won another tournament.
Weird. That's
just add it to the friggin' list.
Yeah.
Man. There's just been so many.
So anyway, it'll be really excited to see Worlds, as we've said before, because they're drafting at Worlds. So that's going to be very awesome to watch. It's going to be a new set and everything. Can't believe it. So, but until then,
yeah. They're saving the fun stuff for that tournament.
Which is good. It is good to make that one the best one, because it should be. So
to get there, you got to slog through Adventures mirror matches through 15 rounds.
Over and over.
Whose Bone Crusher Giant will prevail?
Oh, man. Anyway, let's talk about something that doesn't have Bone Crusher Giant in it. Standard 2022.
Standard 2022. Yeah. So why don't you just tell our listeners what this format is, in case they don't know?
Yeah, so basically Standard 2022 is a best-of-1 queue on Arena, and the only cards that are legal in it are from Zendikar Rising forward. So there's 4 sets: Zendikar Rising, Kaldheim, Strixhaven, and AFR. So it's fun. It's all these sets that haven't been able to like really shine because they've been overpowered by more powerful sets finally get to have a place to almost have like this brewer's playground of like all these different things are coming out and getting tried. However,
Totally.
it is just best of one at the moment because they're holding on to best of three till we actually rotate, which is probably a good plan. But it is different than playing best of three. Best of one is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the best of three queues would fire. It's what they're worried about is just spreading the community too thin. Like, they figure maybe not that many people are interested in Standard 2022 in the first place, and then splitting into best of one, best of three further, separates the people, and queue times could get too long. But I think the community's kind of shown that Standard 2022 is really popular, so it probably could support a best of three queue.
I don't think that they would have a problem supporting it. I think that they don't want to confuse people to think when rotation is because you're playing two different standards, and it's kind of weird that there's all these different choices. So I can see why they would be like, no, well, regular standard is you can play all the different formats, and Standard 2022 is just supposed to be for fun, so that's why we're doing this little thing, and you'll get to play it. You will be able to play it eventually, just not right now. So,
but the fun thing is that some tournament organizers have taken it upon themselves to just start running Standard 2022 tournaments in best of three. So
that's awesome.
Sometimes you could I've played in a Standard 2022 best of three tournament, and I actually cheated because I had duress in my sideboard.
Oh,
and
wow!
Nobody noticed that that's not in this format.
You didn't get DQ'd?
No, it let me do it on Melee, which usually it has the rules built in, and it won't even let you submit an illegal deck. It let me do it. I think because it's in Strixhaven,
Archives?
Mystical Archives. Yeah, I think that fooled the
into
website.
Thinking it would be standard legal. But do they have a duress that's just like this is your arena duress, your regular?
So maybe. I don't think so, though, because when I was playing decks on the ladder, it didn't let me play the deck that I submitted for the tournament. And I was like, why not? It's like, you have illegal cards in your sideboard. But I never sided it in. I played against two creature decks, so
Gotcha.
that might be why I didn't.
Right.
Nobody thought twice about it.
Sure. Well, anyway.
That was my classic 2-0 drop.
Oh, right.
2-0 drop tournament.
Well,
but it's because I cheated, of course.
Yeah. You realized that and then did the honorable thing and sacrificed yourself.
Exactly.
I understand.
That's what I didn't tell you. It was a 2-0 drop, but it's because I was disqualified for cheating.
Anyway, so best of one usually it favors linear strategies or strategies going specifically against linear ones. So a lot of time that just kind of means aggro decks that want to hit you fast and hard, and decks that want to stop aggro decks, essentially.
Yeah, and in general, you don't really want to be in the middle. We'll see a few exceptions, I think, in this format of mid-range decks that are actually okay, but it's mostly because they're just so good against the aggro decks.
Exactly. So we kind of broke this down into different groupings, and we're going by colors. And Jeff, why is that?
Well, because this format is actually dictated so heavily by your mana. The mana is bad. So, you'll see when we get to 3-color decks later, there's not a lot of them, and they rely on some non-land based mana strategies in order to make that happen.
Exactly.
So, it's really hard to even play 2 colors. You're giving up some consistency.
So basically, with rotation, we're losing all of the triomes, which was a big thing that we would lean heavily on, as well as the temples. We don't have any temples anymore. So those are 2 big pieces of the mana base that were...
And Fabled Passage.
And Fabled Passage. That's a huge one. So we don't have any of those things that kept our mana really consistent, and now we're kind of stuck with pathways, which are pretty good. Snarls and the man lands now. Or
Snarls are terrible.
Snarls are not great, and the creature lands from AFR kind of push you into different places, which we'll talk a little bit about.
Right, but they aren't dual lands.
No, they just make one color of mana. So let's start it right off with red, because best of one makes me think of red every time I think about it, because there's always a red deck in there. And weirdly
enough, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, weirdly enough, in this format, mono red is not the best of one boogeyman.
It's not.
When I see like snow covered mountain, I'm usually like, okay. Whereas normally I'd be like, oh my god, we've got to play against mono red and best of one.
Yeah, it's like crap. Javier is going to come swinging at me and all this stuff, and there's going to be robbers of the
wielding
rich,
an ember cleave before I know it.
and Torbrand's going to come down. None of those cards are in the format.
That's right.
It's crazy.
Like almost just name any good card in like standard mono red decks, other than Faceless Haven, and you'll realize that card's probably rotated.
Yeah, you can't play that. So right now there's this like red goblin deck, and it's kind of weird. We've talked about this on the show before, but this deck can only really exist in best of one for the most part because one of the lords is like a best of one only card that Arena has.
Yeah.
So I had just mentioned it when Jeff was talking about Duress, but Arena has these best of one only cards. It's basically a way that every new account gets a bunch of just Arena cards. Here's a bunch of cards to your collection. It helps you boost up your thing, and you can play games and build decks with them. And they're always standard legal for best of one on Arena, but they're not really standard legal for best of three, and you can't really use them in anything else. So, and there happen to be a lot of goblins. So there's just this deck. That's here.
Yeah, and like with AFR, we got the Hobgoblin Lord and stuff. So there's like almost enough in regular standard 22, and then the best of one only staples just amplify it, basically, like give you enough to build a whole deck.
Exactly. So you have one Lord, and then you get the Goblin Trash Master, which is like your second one, as well as like some Raging Goblins and a couple other things. So it's not the best.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've played against this deck, and it's never impressed me. I don't know if that was your experience with it.
Yeah, it's also never impressed me. So,
but I like goblins, so I'm happy that people are giving it a shot. You know?
Yeah, I love that they're playing Goblin Javelineer because it's a card.
Exactly, and I like that it's legit goblins. You know, it's not like historic goblins, which is a combo deck that ramps to Muxus as soon as possible. It's like I'm actually just playing crappy 1/1s and trying to kill you.
Yep, it's exactly what it is. It's great. There's also never mind. I don't want to really get into all the different subversions of each deck because there are a lot of subversions.
There are a lot of decks.
So
one thing, Zach, you mentioned is like it's a brewer's paradise, and part of that is like there are so many options for this format for what you can play, and it's not embarrassing.
Yeah,
you know? It's not all tier 1, but it's not embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly, and you'll catch people off guard very quickly because they're like, "How?" I guess I'll just say it. So there's a Goblin deck that they're also splashing white just to play. That's the one called enchantment. It's 1 and white for you choose a creature type. Every creature gets +1/+1. I can't remember.
Oh yeah,
something ranks of something. Anyway, and that surprised
Rally.
Yeah.
Rally the ranks.
But I just saw like a Goblin deck they were playing that, and they were basically playing white just to play that card, and probably Showdown of the Skulls. But it was just like turn 2 that, turn 3 they played you come across 2 goblins or whatever on my end step and made 2 2/2s. I was like, oh, this is fun. This is great. I like this.
Another card I've submitted in a legitimate tournament.
Exactly. But moving right along from red, we're going into the best color, white.
Oh, I thought. Oh, we're not doing green? I thought you said we're doing the best color.
No. We're doing mono white. Anyway, mono white is sweet. It's really good. It's a lot of the same best white cards that we've been playing with for a long time.
This is almost literally just the standard deck. It actually kind of sheds some dead weight of like cards that maybe shouldn't have even been in the deck in the first place. I think Maul of the Skyclaves is like, you know, some people choose not to play it, but isn't that Zendikar? Or am I misremembering?
No, that's Zendikar. That was Zendikar. Yeah. But the reason
have you been seeing people play that? Because nobody seems to play it against me.
No, but a big reason why we liked the mono white players. Yeah. I liked Maul of the Skyclaves because you put it on the 3/1 that you can discard a card to give it indestructible, and then it becomes super impossible.
Some built-in protection.
Yeah, it's built-in protection, and also having a huge power on this 2-mana creature makes the first strike from the Maul. I
guess you also had like Selfless Savior.
Yep.
To protect when you play it.
You have the Eidolon as well. Those are all gone. So Voltroning your creature is not as is not exactly
Those were
what they're
kind
trying
of
to do.
suspicious to me in the deck, anyways. Though, whenever I was playing against mono white and they go Selfless Savior, I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Well, some of those cards you liked it because you could play Lurrus, so you could play them over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But in this list, obviously, we can't have Lurrus anymore, so it just changes up. Feels a lot more linear, and you're playing, all your sweet white cards. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, you still have Elite Spellbinder, Skyclave Apparition.
Yeah.
You still have Faceless Haven paying you off for being monocolored. What's the 2-drop that puts counters? That's really good.
Yeah, Lunarch Aspirant. Luminarch.
Yeah,
Luminarch Aspirant.
Luminarch Aspirant. Yeah, like all the best cards in the mono white deck just didn't rotate. So it's like natural that this deck's going to be pretty good.
Obviously.
And I think it's one of the best decks in the format.
Also, I just want to say that I do think that the white creature land is pretty good. Just having flying, the 3/4 with flying, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, I think compared to the other creature lands, it's not the best.
I think it's not the
cycle.
It's not the best, but I do like it more than some of them, mainly the black one.
I think it's better than the black one.
Yeah.
But they're all just good because they're all just like
free value.
Yeah, they do. Early they come into play untapped and they cast your aggressive creatures, and late they give you something when you're flooding out. Faceless Haven's probably still the go-to, but I wouldn't be surprised if you wanted to play a couple of those in the deck as well to give you, Faceless Havens 5 and 6 kind of thing.
Exactly. But yeah, I say play the deck if you got the cards. You probably do because they've been around for a while. It didn't get too many new upgrades from AFR, so.
It got the puppy.
Oh, you sure? Does it play that?
Yeah.
I don't really play that one.
It should. That card's awesome.
You're talking about the Loyal Warhound, right?
Loyal Warhound.
3/1 Vigilant, yeah.
That's like my draw to this deck. I want to play that card.
Interesting. I don't even play that in this deck. I'm also playing a variant that just plays a ton of 1-drops that all the ones that care about.
You play like the
spells.
Monk of the Open Fist thing.
I play that card. I play the one that wants to be played second. I play Paladin class and Master of Flowers, a 1 of Master of Flowers. But every once in a while, you just blast people with a 7/7 Dragon Planeswalker guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense to play that as your top end if you're already interested in the Monk, right?
Mm-hmm. So anyway, obviously I'm a fan of that deck. I've been playing it a lot, and any style of that's the one I like the most.
It's not my favorite to play personally, but I'm glad it's a part of the metagame because actually when aggro decks are like that, there's a lot of give and take. There's a lot of interaction. It makes it more fun than some of the aggro decks where it's like, well, if they have their best draw, I can't possibly beat it. And if they have anything else, I'm going to easily win. It's very hard to get a good game.
Exactly.
Mono white, it's almost always a good game against them.
There are, because of Skyclave Apparition and Elite Spellbinder, you do have a lot more options to combat different decks, where some of the other aggro decks feel like, well, that's it. I lost the things I had, and now I'm just top decking, and I'm kind of screwed. Or if they land their big threat or whatever, you just can't really get rid of it. You're like, oh, I don't kill enchantments, things that aren't creatures. I can't deal with. So I'm done.
Yeah.
So going into this next deck, actually, which we're going to talk about mono green, which Jeff thinks is the best. Which it probably is. It probably is.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about this deck. I think it's just green
in general
has to be kind of. It's not my favorite color, but I think it's hard to say it's not the best color.
Oh no,
right now.
no, it's definitely very strong and probably the best. But I do like
green decks are always at the top of the format.
Yeah, I just do like dumb white decks that I just like them. Anyway,
I love dumb black decks.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But we've talked about this mono green deck a lot. It's very similar to the one that's in standard. It just still smashes. Ranger class is crazy, and the Werewolf Pack Leader is the reason you play Portable Hole and different things like that. So
yeah, I mean this deck is, like you said, it's almost identical to the standard deck. Not necessarily in terms of the cards it plays, but in terms of how it plays.
Yeah,
this goes harder on the green pips. You got your old growth trolls and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like in this
the
deck,
curve in this format.
if you're looking at a card to put in this deck and it has like 2 generic mana in the cost, you just throw it aside. It's not worth it.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
has to be all green or no.
Yeah. Why am I playing this?
Yeah.
And so I've seen some people actually trimming Faceless Havens because of that. Like, it doesn't cast Old Growth Troll.
Yeah.
I think that's wrong. You should just play more lands and have them be Faceless Haven. Like, cut a spell for a Faceless Haven instead of cut a forest. But
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Especially if you're playing the plant land. What is that thing? The Hedron. The one in the green for the mana dork that could also be. It's a MDFC that could be a land.
Tangled Florahedron.
There we go, Florahedron. Some.
Yeah, it's an elemental,
Okay.
not a plant. Okay.
All right, whatever. I guess it just seems like it's a plant. I don't know. It's floral hedron. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But this deck is great. Like, it beats down hard, and then it can keep up in card advantage. It reminds me a bit of Gruul Adventures in that way, like the original builds of Gruul that could really smash you, but then they could also get a quick card advantage engine onto the battlefield and beat you that way.
Yeah, just great hems.
And Asika's Chariot is just awesome. Even if Zach hates it, it's just a really good card.
Yeah, Asika's Chariot is great. You either make a cat or a wolf. So it's just, what else would you want besides a cat and a wolf?
Yeah.
Actually,
More cats, more tutus,
yeah.
baby.
What you can do with this deck is if you are playing the Professor of, what is it called? What's his name?
Gnarled Professor.
There you go, Gnarled Professor. You can go get your mascot exhibition, then you slam your mascot exhibition, start making 4/4s or 2/1s. I love it.
Now we're talking.
There we go.
I think that's kind of a best of one feature, but that's another, advent or like reason to play this deck is if you can get good lesson learned things going on in best of one, the incentive is there because otherwise you're not using your sideboard.
Yeah, exactly. There are 2 ways to use your sideboard in best of one. You either have lesson learned cards or you're playing Legion Angel or whatever that card's called, the white one.
Yeah, it has to be stuff that like looks for outside the game
Things.
grab stuff.
So
I know I said that very eloquently,
But yeah, I think it's a sweet deck. It's definitely one that if you're putting something together and you're brewing in this format, which is what you should be doing. I mean, you don't have to, but this is the deck you think about. How do I match up against mono green? And if it's badly, don't fix it.
yeah, I think this is probably the top dog currently. So.
Absolutely. There's another one that's kind of strange. There's a mono black deck. There's actually a few mono black decks that you can play. The ones I've seen seem to be a little bit more controlling and a lot of like Lolth stuff and high end playing like Liliana or Professor Onyx. But what I've seen a lot, and I was surprised by this, was Warlock class. I just keep seeing Warlock class.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't even know what that card does. What does it do?
It's a 1 mana class that comes down and it basically says whenever a creature you control, or at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, opponent loses a life. All right, not awesome. And then 1 in a black, then you can look at the top 3 cards and get a creature card or something. But the big one is 6 in a black, which is like it costs so much.
Hello.
But if they do that, it says at the beginning of your end step, your opponent loses as much life as they lost this turn. So they swing out, and then you can block as much as you can, but then you lose double life. And then if they end up having a couple of those, they can just Liliana you out of the game because they're like just casting spells and you're making you lose life by playing stuff with Magecraft, and then you just keep losing 4 and 6 and 8 life. It's kind of like it's weird because a lot of these decks can't deal with the enchantments, and if they have stupid little, like just talking about the mono green deck, if you're attacking in and you don't have trample on your creatures, they just have a bunch of stupid 1/1s or 2/1 spiders that they're making, and then each turn you just lose a life from the thing, and then eventually they just get enough random stupid creatures out that you can't really attack effectively, and then they're just gonna make their Warlock class really big and then kill you from different ways. It's not very good, but I have died to it many times because I wasn't expecting it, and I can't sideboard in hate against Warlock class.
No. I've never heard of this till now, but it's, this is what I'm talking about. You said you like weird white decks. I like weird black decks.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm talking about here. Although I have to say, if you're investing wild cards into the deck to play this format, maybe don't pick this one.
Luckily, it does seem like some of the cards are like, black is playing Blood in the Snow. So you can, you play your Planeswalker, it dies or gets killed or whatever, and then you get to Blood in the Snow the whole board, bring it back, make 2 spiders, do that kind of thing over and over again. That can be quite irritating. It's, so it's definitely not as strong as white or green, but it's definitely there. So
Yeah.
be ready for some weird black stuff.
It's the thing. It's just like mono black control, for whatever reason, is an archetype that appeals to people. Like people love mono black control, and it's never good, but everyone still wants to play. I think it's been good like twice in the history of Magic.
Yeah. What was it?
And it's been around for like 20 years.
Does Devotion count as mono black control?
Yeah, that was like the era that it was good the second time, I think.
Yeah.
I think like it showed up the first time around that set where it had way more black cards than any other cards.
Torment, yeah.
Yeah, Torment was like almost all black cards, right? Or it had twice as many black cards as it did anything else. So then people were just playing mono black.
Yeah.
And then people just loved the idea of mono black control because it was a control deck that didn't have counter spells. And so now everyone always wants it to be good, and it just never is. Until they printed like Pack Rat, and then it was good for a while, and then now it's been bad again.
Yeah. So
play it if you love it, but don't craft it if you're trying to win.
yeah, as usual, be a little stingy with your wild cards. When you're brewing, do your best not to use a ton of them because, we all have kooky ideas, and sometimes it's really rough when your kooky idea uses all your resources and you can't do anything after that.
Especially since this format is meant to be like a window into what Standard will look like. But you have to remember that as soon as rotation happens, there will be a new set added. So this won't be exactly what Standard looks like after rotation.
Yeah,
it's going to be totally shaken up by Innistrad. So
we never only have 4 sets in Standard. There's always 5.
right. So even a deck that might look good here, it might not be powerful enough to compete in rotated Standard.
Or a deck that looks really underpowered here might get a bunch of new tools that make it awesome. Or mono green is just going to get a ton of new tools and everything else gets
it's
shit.
going to be all good
Yeah.
green like beaters
Like a bunch of like pack tactic stuff. It's going to be great.
that all just draw cards all the time.
Yeah, because duh. Anyway, talking about a card or a deck that wants your opponent to draw a bunch of cards, except for not really, not at all. I was just trying to segue there. Didn't work out.
I loved it.
So mono blue, it's not a thing. There isn't a deck there, really.
Yeah, no, we're like, what are we going to say for mono blue?
Nothing.
I don't know.
No one's playing it.
People don't play this.
People aren't playing it. I still want to have a mono blue mill deck. I just don't think we don't have any of the pieces, really.
Yeah.
It's not there.
I mean, I've seen people trying to copy Tasha's Hideous Laughter in a blue-red shell.
Yeah, like this Is It thing.
With all the copy spells, which is also bad, I think. But
yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's like mono blue mill would be sweet, but there's only 2 good mill cards in the format.
Exactly.
Tasha's Hideous Laughter and Ruin Craft.
The reason mono blue mill used to work in Ravnica and stuff was because there was an enchantment that said whenever you play a blue spell, you mill your opponent. And then whenever you draw a card, you mill your opponent. So those are things that you can still play the game and do other actions that aren't just spells that say mill your opponent. That's why that deck could work.
Maybe if Teferi's tutelage wasn't gone,
Yeah.
if that had been still around or whatever, this could be a thing.
That could work out. Obviously, Ruin Crab is great, but there isn't enough. We lost all our fetch lands, really. I guess we have Evolving Wilds.
Right.
You can play that.
Gotta play Evolving Wilds now.
But you can't do the same. You just can't do the same stuff.
It's just not enough density of mill cards.
I mean, Innistrad does do graveyard things, so maybe we'll get some
That's
mill
true.
cards in Innistrad. That'd be cool.
Tends to be self-mill stuff though, because it's pro graveyard.
That's true. Maybe it'll be really bad because you're just making your opponent's deck a lot better against you.
Yeah.
Don't play this. Don't play this.
But
deck.
maybe that's why Tasha's Hideous Laughter exiles.
Ooh,
They're
so
thinking ahead.
There's no mill. It's just exile. Okay, exile your opponent's deck. All right, I could be down for that.
Could work.
Yeah. Jeff, I am getting dangerously low on beer at the moment. How are you doing?
Yeah, same.
All right. Well, before we get into the 2 color pairings, we're just going to go on a beer break. break.
Yeah.
Going on a beer break.
See you then. Okay.
I was just gonna say, is jutsu like a? Is there a weird thing with jutsu? What was that? We had one beer that had like a weird name that we were pronouncing incorrectly, and I wonder if jutsu has something similar. Like
Yeah, I think it's like a martial arts thing, right?
Oh, that does make sense. Like jujitsu.
Yeah, maybe that is what I'm thinking of, though.
Like jujitsu is a thing, and so it does remind me of jujitsu as in jutsu, but I don't know if jutsu means something by itself. I hope that's
All
how
right,
you
I
pronounce
found it. The first thing that comes up, jitsu, meaning technique, method, spell, skill, or trick.
Oh,
It's,
so it's a
bound morpheme of the Sino-Japanese lexical stratum of the Japanese language.
all right. So it makes more sense that these things on the can are either origami flowers or ninja stars. Either one works,
Ah.
right? Yeah, it's got a little bit of
I see that.
yeah, it's got some sort of technique, right? In it.
I thought it was one of those like impossible staircases that no,
Oh, it could also be
can't
that.
ever actually
Yeah.
do anything.
Oh, that screwed up my eyes. Yeah, it could be that too.
So I guess it means technique, which is why it comes up in martial arts.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But
Yeah.
but also, you need a technique in beer to make beer, right? So, and you need a technique
Apparently.
in building decks so that they'll win.
That's my problem.
Yeah,
No jitsu.
I don't have any jutsu.
No deck building jitsu.
Nope. But talking about that, we have some 2-color pairs to talk about. We're not going to talk about all of them, but we're going to talk about the ones that are relevant. The more you know.
And there's a lot of fun ones here, like,
For sure.
The format shows its strength, I think, in this category.
It definitely does. But the first one is no surprise. We've been looking at this deck for a while, so it's Prismari Dragons. Hooray!
Yeah. I mean, this is another one, like, maybe other than mono white, this is the standard deck that just lost the fewest key cards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's natural to try to just port it right over because all its best cards are still in the format. It loses Bone Crusher and
Brazen
Borrower, obviously, but those were never like integral to the game plan. You just kind of played them because they were good and in your colors.
Yeah, you kind of just had to because they're just better than other cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still really good in this format. I think in the best of one, there are a couple different versions that you can play. Whether you want to focus on making sure you can have some board wipes to kill like a whole swath of creatures, or if you want more counter spells to make sure you can deal with some problematic enchantments or any sort of attack from either your control opponent or anything like that. But overall, I think it's still a good deck. Yeah, it's fun too.
Yeah, I think it's a great deck and it's really popular. Like you'll
Yeah.
run into this one all the time.
Absolutely.
And I think if we were talking best of 3, this would be like at the top there with mono green aggro as one of the pillars of the archetype, one of the best decks. Because even in regular standard, this deck kind of suffers from this issue that game 1, it has to play removal spells and it has to play counter spells, and those are never good or rarely good in the same matchups. And so when you move to best of 1, that problem really compounds. In best of 3, this deck gets better post-board. It sides out the garbage and more of the good stuff, and then it becomes, like, really favored. But in best of 1, you can, I drew my counter spells against aggro, or I drew my removal spells against control, and then your deck doesn't really do anything worthwhile.
Yeah.
So that's what's keeping the deck back from being tier 1 in my eyes in this format, is that it's just not a best of 3 format, and this is a best of 3 deck.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely.
But it's still cool. You still get to smash face with Goldspan Dragons.
Yeah, and take extra turns with the treasures from Goldspan Dragon to play more Goldspan Dragons to smash more
When you
face.
lose to this deck and it had its draw, you're just like, how was I ever supposed to win? It just like Prismari command ramped into Goldspan Dragon, and then it had counter spells up for the rest of the game, and then it took extra turns.
Yeah.
Like,
This deck is a lot of the time like you pass the turn thinking you'll get another turn, at least one, and you don't.
yeah. Nah. You might get one meaningless turn at 2 life where everything you play will get countered, but probably not.
But probably not.
Probably not even, they won't even afford you that luxury.
So definitely watch out for this. And it is playing Battle of Frost and Fire. I think the Game of Thrones card, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's what I always think about.
Yeah, me too.
But it's like it's a 5 mana board wipe. It deals 4 to everything that's not a giant. And right now there's not really a giants deck, so it tends to wipe most of the board.
Oh, that'd be cool. I'd play Prismari Giants.
Yeah. I've seen a little bit of Prismari Giants, but for the most, like, that's just been one-offs. It was like, what? I was not expecting...
Losing Bone Crusher is a tough one for
it seems like it's
the Giants tribe.
It's like the best... Like, that's the reason I was excited about Giants, because like you get to play Bone Crusher and all this other stuff, and it turns out it's not going to be that awesome. Most of the time, they just spend so much of their turns, like, oh, turn 4, the 3/4 giant that doubles giant damage.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool, kill that. What else you got? Nothing? Okay.
Nice limited card. Dead.
Sorry. So, that's not even a great limited card.
Yeah, it's okay.
But
I've
anyway,
lost to it. Certainly.
I've won with it, so...
There you go.
But moving right along, Orzhov midrange. So, do you want to talk about this deck? Because I feel like I don't see it the same way that you do.
Yeah, so this is a deck that I basically tried to build in regular standard. I had a bit of a clerics sub-theme. I think I showed it to you. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of the cards you want were already clerics, like the Elite Spellbinder, the core, whatever the Professor of Symbology.
Yes.
That's the one. And then you have a lot of different powerful planeswalkers to choose as your top end. And so I'd like to see that it's, holding its own in this new format once the format got powered down a bit. But I think that's really the strength. The reason to go black-white is because you have good black planeswalkers and you also have Kaya. So you have a lot of different options in your planeswalker suite. You can go with Kaya, you can go with Lolth, and you can go with Liliana, or Professor Onyx at the top end. And then you just have good, efficient creatures like Professor of Symbology comes down, it trades with something, and then it put you up a card. We were saying earlier that in Best of One, having access to Lesson Learn is really valuable, and Professor of Symbology is just one of the better learn cards for Constructed. And so it just plays like annoying, cheap little threats. It has a bit of a grindy thing going on. It has a bit of a mid-range thing going on. I love me a good Eye Twitch deck, which is like the other good learn card in the format. So it's like, or maybe good as a stretch, but constructed, playable learn card.
I've played a good amount of Eye Twitch, and it's not my favorite card, but...
I love Eye Twitch. I was playing it in fully powered standard.
Yeah, great. More power to you. I think I'm just not... I hate drawing those cards late, or just... but anyway, you were saying also that Vanishing Verse is like a huge upgrade for this deck.
Yeah, I think the real reason you're seeing... I mean, I see a lot of this deck when I play, and I think the reason is that there's so many monocolored aggro decks that are strong, in particular green and white, that Vanishing Verse just becomes awesome. Because it deals with Ranger class, it deals with any creature that's problematic, it deals with basically everything out of those decks except Faceless Haven. And so it just becomes like your all-star 2-mana remove whatever you want.
Yeah, but it is good to know it does remove the other lands.
Right. It's just Faceless Haven is not monocolored because it has no colors at all. It's colorless.
Yeah, because it makes a creature that's colorless, and the other ones make a white or blue or whatever creature. Which was confusing for me at first, being like, how did you exile my thing?
That feels like bullshit.
Yeah, and then you read the land, and you're like, oh, it makes a creature that's a color. Okay, that makes more sense.
And then you read Vanishing Verse, you're like, oh, it doesn't say non-land. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, Vanishing Verse being able to answer just about everything, and all the important planeswalkers that you're going to face for the most part, besides Kaya, I think, it makes it great. It's also the instant speed thing, which is huge because having instant speed removal on stuff can make or break your game.
Yeah, and it's nice, like, if a Goldspan Dragon slips through, they'll still get the treasure, but maybe you'll be able to answer it with this.
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely like all these cards. I can see why it seems awesome. I just haven't seen it in action doing the stuff. So, and I've played a couple different versions, and I haven't. Maybe I'm just bad with it. I don't know what it is, but it's not my favorite just because I haven't gotten there, probably. So
I think it's
I've
a bit polarizing.
I feel
right?
like I've
If
struggled.
you play this against a control deck, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
Like if you ran into Dimir control, this deck has probably next to no chance.
Yes. So it is. I definitely like it because obviously there are some sweet white cards you can play. There are awesome black cards and white black cards you can play. They're like those are some of my favorite colors. So like, immediately I'm thinking I should play this deck, and just like for some reason it's not meshing with me. So I think I have to do a little bit more work in getting into it because I definitely think it has potential. So it's
Yeah, I think it's good right now mostly because mono white and mono green are so good, and this is good against those.
yeah, exactly.
But if, Dimir controls, we'll talk about later, starts to pick up metagame share, this looks a lot less interesting to me.
Yeah.
The one thing I do want to mention is something that I discovered while I was playing this deck in fully powered standard. But what you can do is you can load your sideboard up with... what's the spell that exiles... You exile your own creature to exile one of theirs?
Yeah, the black.
Necrotic Fumes.
Yes, necrotic fumes.
And with Professor of Symbology and Kaya, you can loop all your Necrotic Fumes because you put a ghost form counter on the Professor, then you cast Necrotic Fumes to exile their creature, and you exile your own Professor. Because of the ghost form counter, you get it back, and you go get your next Necrotic Fumes, and you can just do this every turn and exile 4 creatures
until you run out of
straight
all
away
your.
off the same.
That's
yeah.
pretty sweet. That's really.
It's pretty dope. Or you can end on a mascot exhibition the last time you do it or something.
Yeah,
And if they kill the Kaya, you go get it back with Return from the Past or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever that
Return
card is
from the
called.
Past. Yeah, so of the like.
Confront the Past is, I think. what it's
Okay,
called.
yes, confront the past because Liliana is looking into the mirror towards Gideon, saving her life, and War the Spark.
Yeah, I was like picturing the art. I'm like, Return from the Past isn't quite
Something-
right
it's
for what
yeah,
they're
yeah.
trying to describe here. Yeah.
But anyway, that card is real for sure, and having access to it in your just like whenever you're learning something, being like, oh, it is nice when it's like you're learning and you're like, oh wait, that card would be really good right now. I do have a
Yeah.
Kai in the graveyard, so that is kind of nice. I do like. I think if you can, obviously in this format, figure out how to fit some learned lesson stuff into your deck because it's worth having it around. Like it's an
Right.
extra tool that you should be trying to use. I think.
I think for a while, Brad Nelson was saying that he thought it was correct to always have some sort of lesson learned in your deck. I think he's since pulled back on that stance a bit. But originally he was saying like, there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
But I guess if the learn card is like particularly weak, like I don't know, maybe it's not worth it. But
Yeah, maybe just in case. Who knows? There could be weird situations where for some reason you get to go learn something. You never know. You have it there just in case. Have a sideboard of lessons to go learn.
like the lessons are generally pretty narrow in their use, but they're actually decent in the right case. They're like a little overcosted, but sometimes you just need to kill something.
Yeah.
Or need to exile something, and this is your only option.
Or you just need to pump your creature and give it vigilance so it can block next turn.
Yeah, totally.
Like
That card amazed me how good it was in draft.
it was so good in draft, and it's like definitely worth playing in like even because when I play mono green, I'm playing the Gnarl Professor, and putting it on that thing, it has trample. It's like
Yeah, it's not bad.
it's not bad. You're like, oh, this is awesome. So I definitely think you should do that. However, I don't feel great about this next deck. This is also white black, but it's Angels.
Yeah, maybe you should talk about this then, because it sounds like you have stronger opinions than me.
I have strong opinions about this deck, but it's mainly because it's the same thing how I feel about mono red. So Angels, that's fine. Tribes,
It's not exactly the same.
it's close. Okay, so
It's in a similar vein, yeah.
it's in very much a similar vein. So basically, having Orzhov Angels, that's fine. That archetype is fine. Angels are fine. It does play sets of 2 cards that weren't in Kaldheim proper, the actual Kaldheim set when you're drafting. There was a bunch of cards, or I guess maybe a dozen or something, a couple dozen cards in Kaldheim Standard, or in the set, I guess, that you don't draft. So to me, I just didn't know about them because I'm drafting. I don't know these cards, and they're just there. And they're like, what is this angel card that I've never seen or drafted ever? Oh, it turns out it's just a card from a set booster that they added to help different tribes.
Yeah, I saw the like Rise of the Valkyries enchantment or
Yeah.
whatever it's called, and I was like, how did I never draft this?
'Cause it's
like,
good.
I drafted this set a fair amount. How did I never win? Like get this or lose against it or something? How did this never come up? It's awesome.
And it's because it wasn't part of the set. It was part of
Yeah.
a specific booster you could buy that you might get it sometimes. So this is the thing they were doing. Obviously on Arena, it's weird because we don't really have access to that. So that's what makes it super weird, right? It's like, it's not like a commander card that you get in the pre-con or something, right? In the Kaldheim pre-cons that you're like, oh sweet, this is a commander card, I play this, that's what it is. This is just a card that's actually in the set, that's actually standard legal, that you can't draft, and if you play on Arena, you wouldn't know about unless you go to cards I don't own in my collection and look through, and, oh, that's a card. Like, how am I supposed to know about this? You know?
It does remind me a bit though of that time when it was like, you know, the Commander products when Corvold was just in the best deck.
Yeah.
It was like the best card in the best deck. It's like, what is this card? Like,
Yeah.
I'd never seen this card before. And that was particularly egregious because that was back in a very different mythical time when people actually used to get hard copies of these things and shuffle them up like actual cards and play against each other. And yeah, I don't know. I know our listeners can't even believe that, but
Yeah.
that's how people used to play Magic. And those cards were very difficult to acquire. So it was like almost impossible to build your standard Jund food deck. Because the standard players wanted them and the commander players wanted them. And there just wasn't that much product.
Yeah, because that card would only come in a pre-con. That was, I want to remind you again, I've mentioned this a couple times, but that was from a Brawl deck. So the reason it was standard legal is because Brawl cards are only standard legal. So they made these decks that are supposed to be standard legal cards to help Brawl out. However, nobody played Brawl, and it just happened to be a card that was also good in standard, and people took it for standard. And so then those decks were impossible to find because it only came in that deck, and then they cost like $30 or whatever, and then yeah. Anyway, that's a mini tangent about paper stuff that doesn't super matter, but that's the only thing I think about playing.
But these ones are like probably easy to get in paper. I don't know. They're uncommons.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I could craft them right now if I want to, sure. But like, it just irks me. It just bolts my bird. That's what it bolts my bird to see.
Zach
these
got
cards.
mad about losing to a card he's never heard of before.
I just, if you wanted it in the set, why don't you just put it in the set? I don't know. Why can't I just draft
I remember
this?
it was weird when they announced it too. I'm like, I don't get these cards. Why are they like kind of in the set but not?
Yeah, just make them. I don't know.
They were in like collector boosters or something. I don't know. There was
They're
some
in
reason
set
for
boosters,
that.
just set boosters.
Set boosters. Yeah.
They're fun to open, which is it is fun to open. I would also like to open it in draft because that would be a great card.
Yeah.
White black needed.
Maybe they felt like it was too strong for draft.
No, white black needed that card in draft because that was a really bad archetype.
Yeah, well, hindsight's 2020, Zach.
I know. God. Anyway.
Anyways, I think this deck is pretty cool. I like tribal decks, and this one's like the grindy black-white life game style, and it's actually pretty good. It has its good and bad matchups like anything. I wouldn't say it's tier 1, but it's actually pretty good. So
Yeah.
It's cool that Angels is a deck. I like that. When it's
Yeah.
like Dragons are good or Angels are good.
I really wish that this deck could be good without cards that were in the set. Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox because I'm sure everyone has stopped listening by this point.
They're like, dude, who cares,
Just
man?
shut the fuck up. All right. But
Just craft them.
Honestly, if you like those cards, that's wonderful. You should play them. This deck is fun and good. Go do it. But
yeah, it's a difference about liking those cards and liking how those cards were released to us.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's two different
yeah,
things.
okay. So that is the thing.
Because the cards are actually pretty cool.
The cards that actually came out are pretty cool. I wish that I could have played them in other ways. but they were presented in a way.
Or, you know, knew they existed before day one of preview season, then forgot about them for a year or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like 4 months, and then got your ass kicked by them, and you're like, oh, yeah.
Like, what the fuck is this? Anyway, so yes, I have nothing against the card or Angels in general. Play it. That's great. Moving right along to another card I fucking hate.
We really stacked these up back to back just for the Zach rant. Yeah.
Oh, man. Demir Control. Holy shit. When we brought this up earlier, so Hall of Storm Giants. Fuck that card.
Great card.
Fuck that card. Holy shit, that card's awful. God damn.
No, it's actually pretty strong in a control deck.
Yeah. Remember when I was saying that you really need to have instant speed answers that are cheap? This is the reason you need to have instant. If you're playing.
Yeah, you need to hold up like 6 mana to deal with this thing.
Yeah, but if you're playing mono green and you get to a point where they have this card and you don't have enough creatures to go around it and their life is too high, you're fucked. Like, you can't do anything about it. It's a bigger creature than yours. It blocks hard, and you can't get rid of it. You can't kill it. Like mono white, all the cards you have either take a non-land card out of their hand or kill something that's 4 CMC or less that's on the battlefield. It's like, it's never a creature when you can play it. Like, it just doesn't. You never get to kill this card.
Unless your opponent's in a really tough spot, then you can kill this card if they're like forced to activate it, kind of thing.
But no, if you're in a spot where you can't block to kill it, you can't. You need instant speed answers for sure. I don't know. It also is like when I was running into multiples of this card in this deck. Demir Control. It's a blue back control deck. It has a bunch of sweepers and counters. It's a strong deck. It's good, and it has one of the best creature lands. I think this card's really good. Like, Hall of Storm Giants.
This card is good, but it does ask that you play this kind of deck.
Exactly.
Like, it's not good in just any deck that plays blue.
Yeah, no, that's very true. You're not going to put it in the Dragons deck or anything.
Because then it's like an awful Faceless Haven.
Exactly.
But here, it's like a win condition that you get for free mostly.
Yeah, that's like really hard to deal with. Because not only does it have reward, but it's a
Noriyuki Mori played this in his Prismari control deck in the standard event, and it won him some games, man.
Yeah, because it's a fucking 7/7.
It's a 7/7 Ward 3.
For like it's 7 mana essentially because it has to be untapped. But man,
yeah, but once you've controlled the game, both of you are in like top deck mode or whatever, and you're just bash for 7, your go. Finish the game in 3 turns, so you give your opponent almost no time to draw.
Yeah, so your opponent's like, okay, sweet. Either how do I get out of this? / what, do I just activate 2 Faceless Havens and try to double block it somehow? Like, what do you do?
Against the control deck, which definitely has a removal spell.
So,
because then after I double block, they can tap this land for mana.
Yeah, so anyway, this is
I guess not if they attacked with it, but
yeah, but whatever.
If you tried to like kill it, they could tap it for mana in response.
Yeah, or any of that stuff. It's a card. It's a fucking.
And the other card that kind of makes this possible, I think, is the Blue Dragon, right? Like this deck, I mean.
Yeah. Well, how do you pronounce that again? Imarith?
I can't believe you don't know this. It's Ihimarith. Yeah, I'm not a D&D player. I have no idea. That's why I said the Blue Dragon.
Yeah. Well, so you can't say that, though, because I thought you were talking about Blue Dragon.
I felt like No, you didn't. I said the Blue Dragon.
I know, but also there was a whole cycle of cards named after colored dragons.
Yeah, but nobody thinks I'm telling them to play Blue Dragon in Constructed.
I don't know. Blue Dragon's pretty good.
If you did, sorry, listener. I take that back. I suggest you do not play Blue Dragon in Constructed for absolute clarity.
Well, I mean, what are you talking about? Blue Dragon is the best dragon of all of them.
I'm saying for
draft.
Blue Dragon, yes, you should play. Blue Dragon, no good.
I don't know. Drafting blue has been really great, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I thought blue sucked. Oh,
no,
I must be out of the.
I think you're out of the loop.
The loop on this.
It's circled back to blue is the best and red is garbage.
Okay,
So,
next time I draft, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, exactly. Just pass all the red cards. Blue is the best. Also, dice rolling is really strong.
Okay, good. I'll be mono blue dice roll.
Mono blue dice rolling, perfect.
That's the mono blue deck for this format.
Oh, there we go. Mono blue dice
Yeah.
rolling. How did I not think of that?
Of course. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, Dimir control. It's rough. I don't even have a specific list because I don't really play control decks that much. But boy, does it just rip me to shreds every time, and I just cry.
Yeah, again, it suffers a bit from being best of one because it has to play all removal spells to deal with all the like aggro decks. And then if it plays against a deck that's not based around creatures, it's going to have a real sad time because it has, plays full set of wraths. It plays, 8 to 10 like single target removal spells, and it's relying on Hall of the Storm Giants and Ahimmerith to actually win the game. So, it is a very strong deck, and I think it's actually pretty good in the metagame right now. But, it's not perfect.
Yeah. Yep.
It has some weaknesses.
It does. You're right. You're very right. But this next deck has a lot of weaknesses. Whoa, what is this deck? I have no idea.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Who threw this in here?
I don't know. It might have been me.
It feels like something I would have added, but you actually added it.
Yeah, I've seen this a couple times. So this is Golgari Skeletons, I guess?
Skeleton?
I don't know. It's like kind of a Golgari control deck-ish, but like...
Yeah.
They are playing the swarming skeletons. Is that what the enchantment's called?
Skeletons
Swarms? I don't know. But it's like each end step you get a 2/1 skeleton that's tapped, and then if a creature died, you get another one. Oh, no, sorry. It's a skeleton.
They're just 1/1s.
They're 1/1s.
It's like they get plus X plus O, where X is the number of skeletons you control or something.
So
that's
the more
static.
Exactly. So the more skeletons you have, the stronger it is. So each turn you're going to get a skeleton for sure, and if a creature you control died, you get another skeleton. Also, the skeletons have to attack every turn. Anyway, so...
It's that enchantment that I tried to keep making work in draft and wasn't good there.
Yeah. Sometimes it works out. Some
it's
games...
won me some games, but more often than not, it lost me the game.
If you spent your draft building...
Because they can't block.
If you spent your draft building a deck around it, you probably fucked your draft up pretty bad. Anyway... Yeah. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with this deck. It seems to also be playing like... It feels like the controlling parts of the mono black deck, but they added green to play the skeleton thing and a couple other things, I guess. It's very strange, and
boy.
It hasn't been a problem. And
they stretched the mana on the already bad mono black deck.
Yeah, to add a card that's not awesome in... any place.
It's fun though. Like I understand why people like the card.
Sure.
The skeleton.
I mean, it's a 5-mana enchantment that comes down and gives you a tapped 1/1 at the end step. So I don't know.
Why wouldn't you
want that? But anyway, so I mean, the enchantment seems sweet. I wish it worked. It just doesn't really feel like it does. So that's why I'm confused by this deck. But once again, hey, this is. Make up whatever the fuck you want, man. Like, play your fucking deck. That's awesome.
Exactly.
I've run against... and this is...
We like to throw these in so that we could show you. Like, people are playing this stuff.
Yeah,
it's fun. People are having a good time.
Yeah, they're playing random shit. And this isn't just a one-off deck that I found. I've played this like 2 or 3 times. So it's like...
Yeah. I've even played against it. So when you added it, I was like...
Yeah.
I've seen this deck.
This is a fucking deck. Sick. But anyway,
I thought that was just like one dude, or one person
or
just
whatever.
playing this because they love it. But apparently, there's multiple people.
Yeah, I guess so. So anyway, if you like that, play it, break it, make it awesome.
Although, as a longtime lover of bad green-black decks, this doesn't even get my seal of approval. So.
Damn. Okay. Well,
I know.
That's rough. All right.
I want to, but it doesn't involve the graveyard enough is mostly my plan.
Gotcha.
It's like I want something that's like kind of powerful if you involve the graveyard, so it's super, super loses to hate.
Yeah.
And it's only kind of good if you get your thing going. That's what I like.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, it's only like pretty good when you're firing on all cylinders.
Exactly.
And then they just play a Grafdigger's Cage and you actually do nothing.
Yeah.
Those are the decks I love.
You have to like fold to just Tormod's Crypt or like anything.
Yeah, like a single Tormod's Crypt.
Perfect.
You're done. But even when you're at your best, it's just like okay, you could still lose.
Awesome. Good to know for the future. I like that.
Yeah.
This next deck is definitely not mine or probably your deck. I don't know.
I think we both are not likely to play this deck.
Yeah, my name is not Marshall Sutcliffe, so I do not give a shit about this. But it's Simic Ramp.
Somehow you got the limited guy in on this one.
Get him when I can.
In our
Sorry.
standard 2022 best of one discussion, you took a jab at the limited guy.
He's also a commentator, so he talks about how much he likes decks like this.
That's true. Yeah.
But it's just Simic Ramp. Again, like I've said this before, blue-green is not my favorite. It's probably my least favorite color combination. It's just, it always feels like value with like a smile and like a
it's
a
like,
star.
hey, Wizards printed really stupidly good ramp cards and really stupidly good payoffs. I will combine those into a deck.
So if you play more lands than you're supposed to on your turn, you can play more expensive, really crazy cards. Huh. Yeah. Anyway, not saying
because those cards are so good.
Yeah.
They just win the game.
Yeah. So, and this deck isn't even super strong. It's just like, yeah.
I think it's good, but not it's not tier 1.
It's not super. Yeah, it's not super oppressive or anything. So that's why I'm okay with it, and I can shit on it more than other decks. But like, yeah, it's playing ramp spells. It has card draw spells. It has a giant coma to fucking rip you to shreds, and any other awesome blue-green stuff.
There's some recency bias here too, right? Like, I don't think I really hated blue-green ramp that, like, if we go back 3 years. But it's just
That's true.
The past couple of years, it's just been hit after hit after hit of just blue-green getting...
Yeah.
I think if you go back 2 or 3 years, people were complaining that Simic got no love.
Yeah.
And that it sucked.
Well, I mean, like...
And now it's just like, oh my god, Simic gets the best card in the set again.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. So watch out for what you say about stuff, because, like, if we're complaining about something or you're like, oh man, this color... We're talking about Golgari, right? Oh man, Golgari just isn't getting enough stuff. They're gonna fucking print crazy fucking Golgari.
Why do you think I'm doing it, bro?
For years, it's gonna be way too long. It won't be like, okay.
I love it. I'll play Golgari the whole time.
All right, well, have fun with that.
I'll be the guy on Dredge,
Yeah, you do that. Anyway, so but anyway, like I liked playing Simic Ramp in Amonkhet. That was fun.
Yeah,
that was like trash that people would just pass you
when it was a bad idea to do that.
I was playing. Like, even the Amonkhet remastered thing, I wanted to play, like, Simic Ramp into Approach of the Second Sun. That's like...
But you love white, and white is so good in Amonkhet.
Yeah, I know, but you can't draft it very well because people draft it so hard.
Because other people like white.
It's too hard to... I don't want to fight that fight. I'll just take... I want people to give me stuff for free.
You don't want to, like, first pick a Gustwalker? You don't have the strength?
No, I just never open a Gustwalker. My first pick. Yeah. And then I never see one the entire draft. And I'm like, wow, that card's awesome.
Well, no, if you don't open it, you don't see it.
Exactly, yeah. Anyway, so that's Simic Ramp. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning. Yeah, they ramp into coma. The one thing I wanted to say is, like, this is, it has Field Trip as a nice way to, like, smoothly integrate the lesson learned thing. It's a ramp card that also does the lesson learned. So it's nice when you have a deck that's game plan there's already a good learn card built into it.
Exactly.
So that's one of the strengths of this deck.
Yeah, and you get to play the Quandrix Cultivator that was already seeing play in the
already a good card. Yeah, it's already proven.
It's a 3/4, and a lot of the red removal stuff deals 3 damage, so it's hard to kill that 4-drop. So yeah,
it's already established that it's good at ramping you into coma, because it does that in standard.
Yeah, it does that in standard, and it just sits there and blocks for a while. So it's good. Anyway, and then moving on, the Is It Mill deck, which we had talked about earlier in the mono blue section. Not great. Don't do it. Don't waste your wild cards.
I think it's bad, but I just like where this is coming from. It's like, wow, we only have like one good mill card in standard, but we have all these crappy copy instants and sorcery cards. So let's just
smash them together.
Let's just play like 12 copies of Tasha's Hideous Laughter.
Yeah, basically. So you're playing 4 copies of Tasha's Hideous Laughter, Ruin Crab, and then Maddening Cacophony, and then you're playing like 4 copies Dual Strike, and then 4 copies of Teach by Example, and you're like,
right,
all right, let's copy some shit. But you also get expressive iterations, so at least you're playing one of the best cards.
Yeah, it's almost good enough to make this good.
Yeah. So
the card is like one of the better cards in the format.
So we'll see what happens with Innistrad, obviously. But for right now, don't waste your time. Or if you have the cards, play it. But you don't need to craft Tasha C's Laughter for it. I know I said it was worth a slot. I know, but maybe not yet.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Because if people are self-milling in Innistrad, milling them out will be easier.
Exactly. That's very true. You're right. Mm-hmm. And maybe they'll get all the big ones, and you can get all the little ones. Anyway, let's move on to 3-colored, because we have a couple decks to talk about, and then I want to make sure that this episode isn't crazy long.
Yeah.
All right, so 3-colored decks. The first one I want to talk about is the sweetest one. That's right. I think it's the best one.
Second sweetest. It's second sweetest.
But this is, I don't know what to call this, but it's like a Jund Treasure Dragon thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect name. I think.
Yeah. It's like greedy Jund dragons, like that. Something like that. I want to get that in there. I don't know how to do it.
This is like your Tolkien dragons that hoard all the gold.
Exactly, from the Hobbit. Yeah, this is what it's like. So basically, they're running like the new innkeeper we have that makes a treasure, Magda and Kalain.
Card is just awesome, by the way.
Yeah, the innkeeper is bonkers.
Why are innkeepers always so good?
I really like that they're keeping this up, though. I like that innkeepers, at least it costs 2 mana, but you get a treasure, and then you gain life whenever a creature enters. I like it. But anyway, so
the next innkeeper they print had better be awesome.
Yeah.
They got to keep the trend going.
But do they have to be green? Like, what would a black innkeeper look like?
Oh.
That'd be kind of fun. Anyway.
Yeah. Be the opposite. It drains them and gives you a token that you sack to lose a mana.
Yeah. Maybe it's like it wouldn't be, because they wouldn't be an innkeeper really, because what's a black inn like? Maybe it's more like a jailer, and or that would be a white card though. Anyway,
or it's like a trap, right? Like you go to stay with them, but it's really like
they murder you
to your doom,
or they take advantage of your body. Anyway,
let's not do that one.
It would be the red one that would steal a creature or something. Anyway, sorry, got off track. But that's what the whole episode's about. So, anyway, so you have all those, and they're all treasure makers. So you make tons of treasure, and then basically you're trying to use Magda's ability to cheat out the best dragon in your deck, or whichever one that you want to use at that time. Notably, obviously Goldspan Dragon, Star Mount of Inferno of the Star Mount, and
I think that's right.
What is it, Old Gnawbone, and those are that's what you do.
So the reality is you always get Goldspan Dragon, but
when you have Goldspan Dragon out, it's really fun to get an Old Gnawbone just to get a shit ton of treasures.
So much mana,
and then you have so many treasures that your Kalain, you sack all your treasures to play something else, and then that gets fucking huge.
Yeah, I mean, this is awesome. Magda's already proven itself, and I assume this is already running the, the standard proven combo of the 1-drop into Magda.
The Jespera Sentinel, yeah.
Jespera Sentinel, yeah. And so, we said earlier that in order to play 3 colors, you can't just do that on your lands, and this is showing that. It all makes treasure. It has Jespera Sentinel, that's the cost you have to pay 3 colors, is you need to have a theme like this. You can't just do it off your lands for free because the triomes are gone.
Yeah. So it's definitely a deck. It's pretty sweet too. It's fun to watch, and you're playing Goldspan Dragon. So.
Probably plays Asika's Chariot, right?
Probably, yeah. Probably is.
Gotta copy those treasure tokens.
But you're getting so many anyway. It doesn't really matter that much.
Oh, it matters.
I'm just gonna shit on Asika's Chariot forever because
it's one of the best cards in the format.
It just has such a cool name.
You do you.
But I wanted it to be just funny and cool, not good. But it's not. But it's never good when I'm playing it. Anyway, whatever. Let's keep going.
And now it's everyone knows it's called the Cadillac.
So it's not funny anymore. Anyway. Moving on.
Yeah, it's just awesome. We get it.
Yeah. You talk about your favorite 3-color deck, and then.
All right, so the best 3-color deck in the format, and maybe even the best deck in the whole format, actually. If you cancel out the tier 1 decks and the tier 2 decks, then we got the best deck in the format here.
Yeah,
this is Marty's Sacrifice.
Also, If you get rid of the third tier and most of the fourth tier ones.
Oh, no. Okay. This is solidly tier 3. All right, maybe if you get rid of the tier 3 decks that are better than this one.
All right.
And the tier 2 and the tier 1.
Sure.
Then we're talking the best deck in the format. No, but it's Mardu Sacrifice. I love this deck. It's really close to what I was playing in Standard for a long time, and I think it's deceptively powerful. Problem with this deck, the only problem, is that we lost the enchantment that really made this deck pop in proper Standard. But it can still do some powerful things. You're basically just playing a bunch of junkers. So you're playing Eye Twitch, you're playing Shambling Ghast, and you're even playing the one red mana thing that when it dies it deals damage equal to its power to something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're using that to play all the busted sacrifice cards. So you got, it's debatable whether you want Village Rites or whether you want the one that makes a treasure, or whether you want Plumb the Forbidden.
Yeah.
So you have 3 options there, and the spread's always different. Different people like different things. I like Village Rites. I just think it's the most powerful one, and so should play that. And then I usually subsidize that with some Plumb the Forbiddens. That's why I can't remember the name of the other one.
Deadly Dispute is what it's called.
Deadly Dispute, yeah.
I like that card.
And then you play Awaken the... It's good. Mm-hmm. It's good. It's just like... It's 2 mana, This deck doesn't have a lot of mana.
That's true.
And then you play Awaken the Blood Avatar at the top end as your big go-getter. And the reason you're playing white is mostly for Showdown of the Scalds. Like, also to cast the other side Exodus, but mostly for Showdown of the Scalds as a way to refuel on all of your junky 1/1s. Mm-hmm. It's a really fun deck. I don't think it's that good right now. The main problem is I said we lost the enchantment, but I forgot we also lost Claim the Firstborn, which is how we used to beat creature decks. Mm-hmm. And so, when mono green just plays like a friggin' huge 5/5 or whatever, 4/4 on turn 3, you're like, well, I'm gonna have to try to go around it or something. I don't know. Like, yeah, it's hard for me to beat that.
It's really and that's my big thing too. Like, Bastion of Remembrance was so good because even just playing Awaken the Blood Avatar was enough to like drain him a bunch and then shoot him for 3 and make him sack a creature and all that. And now it's like we need. It's just missing the pieces. The things that I liked about the sacrifice deck are kind of gone, and now I feel like I'm all in the spell that gets countered or something. It
totally
just keeps not working out for me.
Like, we didn't play Showdown of the Scalds in regular Standard. That's just a way to try to up the power level since we've lost powerful cards.
Yeah.
But there's hope that with maybe the Vampire set, which has tends to have a bit of a sacrificey kind of.
It'll probably have
to it.
It'll lead into Mardu probably because those are the vampire colors. So
yeah,
that could be a.
Maybe then. I think for now it's a super fun deck, and if you like that style, you should play it. But like we were joking about, this is probably solidly tier 3.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem fun to have Showdown of the Scalds go off while you have Exodus on the battlefield, so you get to put the counters on a double striker. I kind of like that. That sounds fun.
And Exodus is good. Like, both sides of that card are quite powerful in this deck because, like, you Village Rites something. So here's, if you don't know this, if you have Exodus out and you Village Rites something, the way the trigger works, because you're sacking it as a cost, you can get back the thing you sacrificed with the Exodus trigger.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. So it's like, it's almost free. Like, you sack your Eye Twitch to the Village Rites, and that triggers the Magecraft on Exodus, which lets you get the Eye Twitch back.
And you get to draw 2 cards from Village Rites and learn to go get another card.
And you get your Eye Twitch back.
So you have 4 more cards in your hand. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and all you lost was the Eye Twitch.
Yeah.
It went from it bounces.
Great. Yeah, it bounces back to your hand.
So you drew 3 cards and bounced a creature back to your hand.
That's pretty sweet. I like that. That seems awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, again, Serrated Scorpion's also gone, because I used to kill people out of the blue with Serrated Scorpion that way. It's like, sack it, Exodus brings back the Serrated Scorpion, sack it again, bring back the Serrated Scorpion. I have Bastion of Remembrance out. You're like really dead.
Yeah. So hopefully, I mean, like, we'll see if we get any more drain pieces or drain creatures, but for the time being, we need some cheaper ones, not the 3-mana one we got from AFR. So.
Not that one.
Not that one. But actually, that did remind me of one extra thing from the Jund treasure deck. Is that it turns out that the Skullport Merchant, the 2 and a black for the 1/4 dwarf citizen, is a dwarf.
Oh, Magda combo.
So Magda gives it +1/+0. I just wanted you to know that. It's not really important, but
That's actually awesome.
it's pretty
well,
fun.
it's more than that. If it attacks, Magda will generate a treasure off it.
Exactly. And you can also pay 1 and a black to sack that treasure to draw a card, and that's a huge engine. So
that card's actually a big part of the Orzhov mid-range deck we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
too. We usually play that card. So.
that card's just great. Having a 1/4
it's
that
just-
it blocks like all the aggro decks really well, except for green. Green can get through, but all the other ones have a hard time with a 1/4.
Yeah, it's like out of green, it like blocks the 3/3, but that 3/3
No.
draws a card when it attacks.
And the 3/3 can
it's
also
not
pump
great.
itself as well, so it could kill it.
Yeah.
Right. So, but anyway, there was one more deck I want to talk about before we go to last call. But this is finally I was playing a party deck. I know we've talked about how party.
Woohoo!
Yeah, exactly. It's a party.
I love it.
So we've talked about how party is not really a thing, but you can play a Bant party deck right now, which is super fun. Just not. It's really, really strong if your opponent doesn't do anything. That's what I'll say.
Hey.
Sound pretty good?
That's all I need to play a deck. I'll usually take medium if your opponent doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So
Goldfishes in 10 turns, kind of. That's fine.
So the reason I like this deck is that it can do a couple weird little tricky things, and we've talked about this in the past when we were saying things about Bant control, or sorry, not Bant control, Bant party, but you're playing obviously all the good party creatures, so it's like Archpriest of Iona, and you're playing Linvala, Shield of Seagate, and then Tajuru Paragon, which like helps your party, obviously, and then the Squad Commander and Tazri. So obviously you have like the Bant party pieces, but you also get to play Luminarch Aspirant, which is like just a bomb white creature. And the piece I really like about this deck that I've been playing different versions of, but this one is it has Masked Vandal, which is a changeling, so that helps with a lot of different things and can blow up different artifacts and enchantments that are problems that you may come across. But also the Bearers of Littjara. So when you
That's a card I kicked my ass in limited all the time, but I don't think I've seen it cast in construct.
So that's pretty fun. So if you like turn 2 Masked Vandal, which is a changeling, and then turn 3 Bears of Littjara, you make a 2/2 shapeshifter changeling thing. And then when its second chapter goes off, both of those become 4/4s. And so all of a sudden on turn 4, you have 2 4/4s that are attacking them, and then it can blow up some stuff. But the reason that I think those cards are so fun in this deck, having these changelings, not only is it makes your party easier because they can
The obvious
they're
party
all
thing.
that stuff.
Just as a quick interjection, do you remember that time that we all thought when Party came out that if you had a changeling, it would satisfy all properties immediately?
Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
And then we were all like, oh, no, it doesn't work.
That's not how it works. But it is a nice little piece that you're like, well, this will be whatever I don't have. So it's helpful.
Yeah.
But you know what it also is? Not only is a changeling any party member, it's also a dragon. And you know what it's really helpful for is when you play Temple of the Dragon Queen.
Okay.
So it is in its
talking about that difficult. That's really stretching to make a 3-color deck.
Yeah. The reason why I like this deck and the reason why it's playing this Temple of the Dragon Queen is that obviously it like comes into play tapped unless you have a dragon in your hand or on the battlefield, and you can choose a color and it taps for whatever those colors are. But it plays all.
It's the worst fabled passage of all.
It's not great. But I like that in this deck it can come in untapped, which is hilarious. And the deck is playing all the colors because Tazri has an activated ability that you pay blue, black, red, green for. Or you can pay 2 generic for any of those. But having a Temple of the Dragon Queen can make it really easy to make sure you have all your bases covered to get your value engine at the end of the game to keep drawing stuff after you.
I don't know about easy because you have to choose when it enters the battlefield. That's what I mean. It's like a bad Fabled Passage. Because the problem with Fabled Passage, you have to choose one of the colors. This has the same issue. And just a quick aside on this card, I really feel like they could have had it be where if you reveal a dragon from your hand, you get to put a counter on it, and if it has that counter, it taps for 1 mana of any color.
It could have. They could have done it that way.
That would have been so. Like this card, it reminds me of Base Camp. It's like, why do you hate Party? Base Camp was so bad. Why is this land so bad? It forces me to jump through some pretty serious hoops to incorporate it, and even if I do, it sucks.
Yeah, it's like the Dungeoneering card, the Dungeoneering lands that like.
Yeah, they were worried about something, and
they're always worried about something.
R&D, and they nerfed the shit out of some of these cards.
I don't know what happened to them, but anyway. The deck.
Mark Rosewater he lost to like Party on the first day, and he was like, "No, fuck this mechanic."
But Mark doesn't even play those cards. He doesn't do that. That's not even part of his job. He just does world building.
I know. It's just funny to say it's always Mark's fault. But.
It's probably Gavin. Just kidding. Gavin only does Commander stuff. I don't know who does this. Yeah. But anyway, I was having some fun with that deck and seeing Party actually go off. However, the problem, of course, is that. You can't kill anything. There aren't a lot of good Party kill stuff in banned colors.
It's hard to do the Party thing and also put in, removal.
Yeah, I mean you do like eventually you get to play like 2 mana, draw 3 cards, gain some life. Wait, what is it? Draw 2 cards. What is that card?
Yeah, it's like
I can't remember what it's.
I can picture the art, but that limited format was too long ago.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but
it's like the mini Sphinx's Rev kind of thing.
Exactly, and that's awesome, so it's been a lot of fun, but that was also one of those decks I was playing where I was getting fucking smashed with the
It's not just Gather the Party, right? It's not that.
No, it's not that. It's like
Anyways.
It's parties party time. Parties having a good time. Parties drinking tonight. That's what it's called.
I think that's it. I think you got it.
The party's drinking tonight. Perfect.
The only thing I wanted to mention about this deck that, I didn't hear you mention was Jaspera Sentinel.
Yep, that's in the deck.
You want to play a 3-color deck, you need something like that, and it's also a rogue, so
boom, there you go.
This deck incorporates it well already.
There's also like the 1 mana blue counterspell that makes, it's like a 4 spike, but it makes the spell cost more for your party, so boom, there it is. Anyway, I think we did a pretty good job covering as many decks as we possibly could and remembering every single card name of every card we've ever talked about.
Yeah, I don't think we even forgot a single card name.
Absolutely not.
Impressive.
No, we remembered them all, of course.
Yeah.
But hey, listen.
I mean, it's hard to remember card names when that card wasn't from Throne of Eldraine.
Yeah.
Because you just never see it.
Yeah, like what was that? What was that giant? What was it called? It's like it deals. What is it? It did 1 in a red to deal 2 to something and then you prevent damage, and then it's a 4/3 that comes into play afterwards. What is that? It's some giant.
Oh yeah, it was like Soul Smasher giant.
Smashing. It like it grinds something to make its.
Oh
bread.
yeah, grind some. Yeah.
What is it? I don't remember.
That was it. Yeah.
Something about
spread grinder.
Yeah, bread grinder, bread grinder giant. Yeah, that's what it is.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, it's so hard to remember names sometimes, but
such low profile cards.
Exactly. No one plays them, so how would you ever remember? Anyway, so we just wanted to talk about this format, and hopefully you're playing it or looking into it, and it's been a nice thing to have to get through this summer.
If you like Standard in general, but you're just tired of losing to bread spreader giants or whatever we got, you should play Standard 2022.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Standard 2022, bread spreader giant is gone.
Yeah, because it's a lot of fun. We joke about that, but I legit takes me a few seconds to remember the name of Emergent Ultimatum, because I always call it Sultai Ultimatum.
Yeah.
And like the actual name of the card, sometimes I know it's an ultimatum and I know the colors and I know exactly what it does.
Yeah.
And you have to know the cost really well, because you're like, do they have a 3rd green source?
Yeah.
They do not.
Well, it's also like, is it a 3rd green or a 3rd blue? I can't remember. It's like, wait, no. I don't know.
Then you have to like figure out how those work again. Okay, yeah, it's the green, and then it's two
And then
pairs this way. Is the main.
But it's not because blue is an enemy anyway. So it's two anyway.
It's two enemy, one ally, or whatever.
No, they're all enemy because green isn't allied with either of those colors. So it's blue, two black
But blue and black are allied.
they're allied, and then the enemy color.
So what I mean is like two enemies, and of the three pairs, two of them are enemy, and one of them is an ally.
Okay, I guess I was thinking more like the two allies have one enemy that has three. Anyway.
Yeah, but that's how you figure out what the central color is.
Yeah.
The one that has the two enemies.
Yeah. Which is green.
Yeah.
So.
So this is what we're all doing when we're making our Sultai Ultimatum players rope. We're like, wait a minute. Okay, green's enemies are blue and black.
So then, yeah, exactly. Anyway.
Ah, fuck! They have plenty of mana to cast this card. I guess I concede.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. That's how we think about stuff, and that's the things we do.
Well said.
Do you have any last words before last call?
No, I think we covered everything I wanted to say about the format.
Sick.
One thing though, don't play duress because you're not allowed to.
Oh yeah, you're not allowed to play duress, so don't put it in your deck or your sideboard.
Yeah.
Because you can't sideboard.
Easy mistake to make, could happen to even seasoned professional.
Well, you can't be a professional anymore, so seasoned player. There it is.
Seasoned amateur.
Seasoned behind a computer guy. Anyway.
Yeah. Seasoned drunkard.
There you go. Seasoned drinker. That's a real thing. We're that. Anyway, now that we're seasoned drinkers, let's go get our last beers of the night.
Love it.
Jeff, you ready for the big reveal?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Okay. That makes sense. So we picked our own beers, but
as per usual.
Yeah, I was thinking that you were going to pick your beer, the Jutsu. I also went into this thinking I was going to pick Jutsu, but I don't know. Zane's avocado bag just got lost, and I don't know. They made a good beer because of it.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be an inside joke or something, right? Like
It
they have
has
a
to
buddy
be.
Zane, and he has bags of avocados that he lost or something. I don't know.
Oh, I wasn't even imagining that there were avocados in the bag that he lost. I was just imagining that he went to buy avocados and was like, "Where's my avocado bag? Hey, my avocado."
That could be it too.
That's what I thought. I thought it was a specific bag that was either had avocados on it or was for buying avocados that got lost. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, welcome to the show. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes in. If you...
I'm sure they skipped right to that point.
Exactly, I'm pretty sure. So if you haven't listened to us before, we rate beers on a scale of bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. Haha! Isn't that fun?
It's funny how that worked out.
Yeah, it's really nice. As always, this has nothing to do with your personal rank. It's just a fun way to rank beers, so don't take anything personally. Everyone's been in different ranks at different times in their life. So, hey, cheers to that. Anyway.
I feel like you didn't have an ending to that sentence.
I never do. I don't. I just start, things start coming out of my mouth, and then I figure it out on the way, and I do it. Anyway, there's a lot of mumbling this episode. This beer is 7.6%, so I started with it, and it's getting me a little good. So, beers that are bronze. They are garbage. They're trash. You throw them in the trash because that's where they belong, because they're the worst.
Yeah. One of the few beers you might not actually finish. Silver. These are like your standard macro brews, you know. Not that they're bad, but there's nothing interesting going on. Nothing to write home about.
Gold they're fine. You won't probably drink them that often, but like you didn't hate it. It was good.
Yeah. Platinum they're solid. You would drink this again.
Diamond this is very exceptional, and you're going to recommend this to people.
And Mythic, best of the best. You would recommend this not just to people you know, but to anyone who will listen. And even maybe some people who won't.
Yeah. You'll force them to listen to your beer review.
Yeah.
All right, so...
Oh, that hits home.
Oh boy. Anyway, so these beers. Let's start with Zane and his avocado bag that has been lost.
Yeah.
It's a brewed IPA. I definitely get that. I feel what they're talking about with the bubbly and the champagne feel.
Yeah, when they said the champagne-like thing, it's funny when you said that because I've actually tried the beer before, and I remember I didn't read the back of the can, but I got that immediately. I was like, this has like a champagne kind of
Yeah,
like carbonation to it.
exactly. So when it says it's a brute IPA, I think brute is important because it's the first word. Because as far as an IPA goes, it doesn't have a lot of those standard IPA characteristics. It's not super hoppy, but it does have like, there's a bit of bitterness in it, and it just feels like kind of light and bubbly. And I don't know if you've been listening recently, it's been pretty hot in Toronto. And every beer I pick is because it's really hot and it makes me feel refreshed. And this is no exception. Absolutely, this is like sick. You are high in alcohol, you're light and refreshing, and you're not going to put me to sleep. My mouth doesn't work anymore. So I really liked this. And I've also tried this before, and I just did not remember it very much. But this time I'm like, dang, you're nice. Like, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, I also really like it, by the way. So that light, refreshing champagne quality.
Yeah.
They really deliver on that, and that's kind of the thing they're promising. I didn't really get any notes of avocado at all.
Yeah.
But other than that,
I was missing bag as well. I was hoping there would be some bag.
I got a bit
tones.
of bag. Like you could tell
did
bag
you?
is there, but
I feel like I did pull
subtle.
like a thread out of my teeth at one point, but like besides that,
requires a refined palate, I think,
yeah,
to detect the bag. Yeah.
Anyway, I think the name is funny. Obviously, that's why I picked it up, and it does like. Obviously, it doesn't have avocados in it, but I can see the buttery silkiness of an avocado. That feel is also possibly a champagne feel. Do I feel like I'm eating avocados right now? I'm definitely not. No,
You're tricking yourself.
I am tricking myself. My shelf. I'm foolishly.
Yeah. I don't know why you have to trick your shelf, but
Yeah. Hey, how do you trick a shelf to like what? Not be a shelf? Do something else? What? What is a shelf? How do you trick a shelf?
like it doesn't want to stay level, so you I don't know.
You trick it to think that it's not level, so it becomes level. I don't know.
Yeah, so you unlevel the floor to match
The shelf. I don't know. Anyway, I don't even know where to put this. I like it. I would probably tell people to drink this. So that's pushing me to diamond. I just don't know. Maybe. What do you think? Tell me what you think so I can cheat off of you.
Yeah, I had this at the like platinum diamond border, and I think I want to go diamond with it just because I liked it, and they delivered on what they were promising. You know,
I definitely think so too. I remember drinking this the first time and being like, "Oh, okay, it's fine." But like, hey, listeners at home, if you drink beer and don't think about it very much when you're drinking it, you will mostly think it's pretty fine, and everything feels fairly gold, unless a mythic hits you in the face. But the more you sit down and drink beers next to each other, it helps a lot.
So just buy a lot of different beers and just drink them all.
Yeah, drink multiple different types each night, and tell your partners that it's it's classy. Was that South Park episode? Where they get mad at Randy because he's drinking a glass of wine in the middle of the day. He's like, first of all, it's called a flight, and I'm drinking 6 glasses of wine, and it's classy.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this. So,
yeah, it's also for science.
It's for science
to develop your palate. So.
Yeah, just like you have to play a bunch of different decks to develop your skills and your knowledge of what they're like. Because maybe you're gonna play a deck you didn't think you liked, and then you do, and you're like, oh shit, do I like this now? Anyway, I agree. Diamond for avocado bag. Zane's lost avocado bag. Zane lost his avocado bag. Yeah, that's it. I agree. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. And for Jitsu, I think, there's not a whole lot to say. I think we've both tried it probably several times before tonight. And it's kind of stock around Toronto, but It's just a rock solid pale ale.
Absolutely.
I actually almost picked avocado, and I had I had this back and forth because I think I'm now at a point where I underrate Jitsu slightly because I've had it so many times it's become slightly pedestrian to me, and now I can't. It's hard for me to justify the price. It's like, why is this almost twice as expensive as every other beer?
Yeah.
But I have to think back, like when I first tried it, I was like, oh, this is amazing. So I kind of defaulted to picking it. It's just like a really rock solid pale ale. If you like that style, you're going to be impressed with this. It's kind of East Coast a little bit. It's opaque and has a bit of that fruity flavor going on. But I think it was close, and personally, I would put this also at Diamond.
Yeah.
And if it was priced more appropriately, it would have been, or not appropriately, but like if it was just the lower price,
Yeah.
I would rank
Exactly.
it higher.
Yeah, it's harder when you're around these beers all the time, and you know, you're thinking about, oh well, I'm buying beer constantly, and if this is more expensive than another one that I'll enjoy just about as much, then I don't always go for it. But when people visit, this is the one I'm recommending a lot of the time. Specifically, this brewery
Right.
too. I'm like, well, you have to have something from Bellwoods because that is quintessentially a Toronto brewery. You have to try their stuff, and Jutsu's one of the ones on the list. We've done a couple of their other beers. We did Roman Candle and Jelly King, and they're all wonderful. So, and I agree with you.
Jelly King in particular is fantastic.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm always like. I used to tell people at the restaurant I worked at, you had to go to get Jelly King, but Jutsu's also awesome. And I had some people visit recently, and this is one of their favorite beers that they found by themselves. I didn't even recommend this one, but I told them, yeah, that one's really good, and then they got it over and over again. So I definitely think it's a Diamond candidate because I will tell people about this beer, and it's really good from a great brewery, very solid and recommendable. So yeah, good beers this week. I'm happy. I like that.
Yeah, we did good.
We did good, kid. We did good. I think it's time to close up the bar. It's
Yeah, it is closing time.
closing time. One last call for alcohol.
I didn't even do it that time.
I got you to say closing time. Oh,
I tried to say it as monotonously as possible.
perfect.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you would like to reach us on the interwebs, you can find us at Arena Regulars on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, you can also find us on MTG Arena itself under the username Arena Regulars Podcast. We'll be looking to use our free drafts. We hope to see you there.
Absolutely. And if you would like to talk to me personally, you can find me at Zulberg. That is ZeulBerg on Twitter and Instagram. But Jeff, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm at Blues Brews MTG on Twitter. It's spelled exactly like it sounds.
Boom. Also, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. Follow us on all the places that you are listening to us right now. We would really appreciate it, and we love to hear back from our fans, if we have any. This has been the Arena Regulars.
Reminding you that if you want to smash your next AFR draft, you better draft mono blue dice rolling.
Good night. All right, that's fine.